On October 15, 2015, a man was stealth camping deep in the woods and set up a trail camera nearby. The next morning, he checked the footage, wondering if any wildlife had passed through. But what he found shocked him. In one frame, a figure could be seen, partially hidden behind a tree. It appeared to resemble a young girl, with long dark hair, wearing what looked like a dress. Some believe it could have been a person wandering through the woods, but in a place that remote in the middle of the night, who would be out there like that? Whatever was near his campsite that night remains a mystery, and he didn't stay to find out. A person hiking on a forest trail was filming their walk when something unusual appeared near a tree beside the path. In the footage, a small whitish shape can be seen forming in the air, almost like a faint mist, taking on a figure-like outline. It only lasts for a few seconds before quickly fading out of view, leaving nothing behind. The hiker didn't seem to notice it at the time of recording. Some believe it could be natural, fog, moisture, or light distortion caught at the perfect moment. Others think the shape and the timing make it feel like something more. Maybe a ghost. Reddit user PrimarySherbert274 shared a post about a photo their friend took while walking alone at night. They said they usually go on walks together and often talk about paranormal topics, but this time the friend took a longer, darker route alone and started taking random photos along the way. In one of the pictures, something unusual showed up in the distance. At first they thought it was just an animal, but after increasing the exposure, a strange silhouette became visible with an unclear shape and outline. They later went back to the same area at night and claimed they heard noises, almost like something was following them, but didn't go far enough to check. Some commenters believed it's just an animal like a fox or deer, but most agreed with the poster, thinking the shape looks too unusual, too humanoid. What's your opinion? A TikTok user went randonauting and followed coordinates that led them to a quiet, isolated spot deep in the woods. When they arrived, they found something unexpected. A small memorial set up for a girl who was murdered on October 13, 1983. Her case was never solved. The area was completely empty. No one else around. And the memorial looked like it had been there for a long time. It wasn't something they expected to find, especially in such a random location. Some believe it's just coincidence, since randonauting can lead you anywhere. Others think it's strange how often these locations seem connected to real events. So was there something more behind where they ended up that day? This one went out into the woods around 3 a.m. to perform what she described as a summoning ritual. Summoning rituals are often believed to be ceremonies meant to call upon spiritual beings, such as angels or demons. On the ground, stones were arranged in a rough circle. At the center she stood, wearing a white gown, moving slowly, in an unusual, almost trance-like way. The whole scene feels unsettling. Imagine walking alone through the woods at that hour and seeing something like that. It would make most people uneasy. So what would you have done if you came across her out there in the middle of the night? Instagram user The Confessional Podcast shared photos of what appeared to be captured by a trail camera. What stands out in these photos is a black shape between the trees. It's hard to make out exactly what it is, suggesting it could just be a bear. But what's strange about it is that in the sequence of the images, the eyes seem to change color from white to red across different frames. The uploader describes it as possibly resembling a dog-man type creature. The identity of the black shape remains a mystery. This clip was captured by a hiker somewhere in Southern California on April 18, 2026. The hiker didn't understand what the bright light was, so they zoomed in and recorded. The footage is shaky and unclear, but it shows a glowing figure or object shifting in a way that doesn't feel like a normal light. The brightness makes it hard to identify any solid shape behind it. Some say it looks like a woman holding a very bright lantern or light source, but even if that's the case, it still gives off strange vibes, especially being captured in the middle of nowhere. Reddit user TariqYonis90 and his friend were using the Randonautica app when it led them to a forest area. He claims that in earlier trips they kept finding strange clues, like a basket on a tree containing a knife and a note with coordinates directing them elsewhere. In this particular video, they discovered this.
Do you guys see what we're seeing right now? Oh shit, man. Is that that's a spine, isn't it? Oh my god, look at this. What the f? And look, my camera's all tripping out now. It doesn't want to focus. I'm trying to show you guys. Look at this. Why is it? Look, every time I get close to it, my camera starts tripping out. Yeah, it's just a bunch of pictures of spine. I had scoliosis. I had scoliosis when I was younger.
That right there, that's very sensitive information. That's like it's protected by the hip.
It is, I know. And how the hell did he get that? I don't even know if that's me or not.
It was what looked like a human spine hanging from a tree, along with other strange objects nearby. Shortly after, they reportedly felt like they were being followed and left the area. The OP later clarified it wasn't a real spine, but a medical model. Still, a strange thing to witness in the forest. Maybe it was staged, maybe it wasn't. During a hike through the woods, this person noticed something strange. In the distance, they spotted a lone, hooded figure, moving erratically. There was no music, no one else around, just the figure alone in the forest. The uploader said they were visibly shaken after witnessing it, and didn't stay to get closer or figure out what was happening. Some suggest it could be something harmless, like someone exercising or performing. Others think the setting, the clothing and the movements make it feel far more unsettling. It's enough to leave questions behind. So what did this person really witness that day in the woods? TikTok user Jesse Chug shared a video after their dad made a strange discovery in their back field. Buried in the ground was a car. They had no idea how long it had been there, or what might still be inside. There were no clear markings, no obvious explanation. Some believe it could be something more serious, possibly hidden there intentionally. Others think it might just be an old abandoned vehicle, slowly buried over time by natural changes in the land. But finding something like that so close to home raises questions. TikTok user Jane Moonville was walking in a forest in Germany, where she found creepy markings and structures deep in the woods. In the clip, she shows what looks like an Illuminati symbol carved on the wall, along with a human-shaped hollow in the terrain and a recently used fire pit nearby. The area appears isolated, with no clear signs of a campsite or people around. Later in her walk, she also claims to have found a weird journal, but forgot to take pictures. Something really creepy must have happened there. TikTok user 5 Nights at Valle Paricio went on a hike and explored Parque Acuático Valle Paricio in Mexico. While there, they came across something unusual. What they described as an animatronic graveyard hidden behind the water park. The area appeared to be filled with dozens of dinosaur animatronics, all stored together in a large outdoor space. Many of them looked damaged, weathered, or partially dismantled. There were no clear signs of maintenance, or any reason why they were left there like that. Everything about the place felt off, and seeing so many lifeless figures gathered in one spot only added to the uneasy atmosphere. So, would you explore a place like this? A Reddit user known as Anastasia Kiki shared a photo their friend had taken while out on a walk. She had posted it on Instagram, not realizing she may have captured something unsettling. At first glance, everything looked completely normal, just a simple nature photo. But when the Reddit user looked at the photo, something in the background immediately caught his attention. A human-like figure, standing at a distance. The shape didn't look quite right, with parts of the body appearing unclear, almost incomplete. At first they assumed it was edited, even messaging her, asking her how she created the effect. But the response made it more unsettling. She claimed she hadn't edited the image, and hadn't noticed anything while taking the photo. After seeing it herself, she was just as disturbed. A woman in Orange County, California was on a late night walk when she started hearing loud booming sounds coming from the sky.
So it's coming from over here?
At first, some thought it could be seismic activity or natural atmospheric sounds, but that explanation didn't fully convince everyone, especially since similar reports have been shared in other places. Some suggest rare natural phenomena, others point to distant aircraft, sonic booms, or even military activity. Still, hearing something like that with no clear source is enough to make anyone uneasy. On January 12, 2015, YouTuber Just GoPro uploaded a video showing a tense hiking attempt on Crib Gotch in Snowdonia. Ben and Go were carefully making their way along the narrow knife edge ridge. Their hesitation is clear, and they openly admit they're scared to continue.
Too scared!
After a moment of encouragement, they continue forward into the exposed ridgeline. The situation quickly becomes more intense as the drop on both sides becomes impossible to ignore.
I know. I was scared as well. I was scared before.
An experienced hiker nearby tries to calm them, reminding them to take it step by step, and that the Crib Gotch is known as one of the most serious ridges in the area.
Just making sure to check all. As long as you've got 3 points of contact, you're okay.
He explains that no video can really prepare you for what it feels like standing there. The exposure, the height, and the mental pressure only fully hit in person. Luckily, they made it through the hike safely. Would you do this? While hiking, someone came across what looked like a fluffy patch of fur stuck to a rock, but when they touched it, it turned out to be something else. It was a large group of daddy-long-legged spiders gathered together. Although they are harmless to people, the sight of it makes many people uneasy. So here's a tip: never touch these things. A group of archaeologists reportedly discovered a chest containing unusual skulls marked with a symbol believed to be linked to a German occult organization. This group is known for searching for relics and artifacts, often surrounded by mystery and speculation. Inside, the skulls had very unusual features. The shape appeared elongated at the top, with large eye sockets and an extended jaw structure that didn't match typical human anatomy. Some people suggest they could be ancient remains that were deformed over time. Others believe they might be linked to extraterrestrial ideas. A group of people were walking along a beach on Australia's east coast when the situation suddenly turned dangerous. As the tide came in, they were cut off and forced to climb up onto a narrow ledge along a cliff to stay out of the water. The group included 7 people, with 3 children among them. Waves as high as 16 feet were getting closer, and there was nowhere left to go. They managed to call for help, but reaching them wasn't simple. A helicopter rescue was considered, but the downdraft could have pushed them straight into the ocean. Instead, rescue teams used ropes and a system designed to safely lower people down steep cliffs. The operation took around 3 hours, and everyone was eventually brought to safety. It was just a case of being in the wrong place, the wrong time. TikTok user Leanne1818 shared a video of her son playing outside in a pile of autumn leaves. At first, everything seems normal as the boy throws leaves around and walks across the yard. But at one point, he suddenly pauses, almost like he notices something nearby. A second later, he falls backward in a way that doesn't look like a normal trip. It appears as if something pushes him from behind, even though no one is close to him. The uploader later said they had just moved into the area at the time, and not long after this happened, they ended up leaving. They also mentioned that other strange things had happened to their son before, but didn't go into detail. Some people think the child simply lost balance or fell while playing, but the family is convinced an unseen force was involved. A Reddit user was hiking in the Rocky Mountain National Park when their quiet walk suddenly turned tense. A massive moose suddenly stepped out from the trees, right onto the trail in front of them. For a moment, there was nowhere to go. Moose are known to be unpredictable and can be extremely dangerous if they feel threatened. Fortunately, the animal continued walking and disappeared back into the forest without incident. This person was walking past a park at around 3 a.m. when they noticed something unusual. Someone was on the swings, but that wasn't all. The figure started swinging higher and higher until it was going all the way around. The footage is dark and hard to make out clearly, making it difficult to tell if it was actually a person. But even if it was, that kind of movement isn't exactly normal. At that hour, in an empty park, it's enough to make anyone uneasy. 2 men crossed into a restricted forest area where signs clearly warned people not to go further. One of the men is already up in a tree, holding on tightly and shouting down. A few seconds later, the second man rushes into frame and climbs up after him. Both of them are clearly terrified. Then, a figure appears behind them. It's large, dark, and walking on 2 legs with a heavy build. Some suggest it could be a bear seen at a strange angle, while others point out that its posture and movement don't really match any known animal, more like Bigfoot. Unfortunately, they didn't give any explanations, leaving us all guessing. YouTube channel Crooked 16th uploaded a video from a hike in the Gila National Forest near Highway 15. He explains the forest suddenly went completely quiet, with no birds or normal background noise, which immediately felt wrong to him. A few moments later, he started hearing this. It sounded like human screams coming from deeper inside the woods. Animals, mimics, or actual people, it felt wrong. For 2 weeks, a Reddit user known as MutedPromotion2484 said her daughter had been noticing strange things outside their home in eastern Kentucky. Then, one evening, her 13-year-old daughter finally managed to capture something on camera. The image is dark, hard to make out, but a figure appears, tall, thin, standing in the distance. The family said it resembled something people online often refer to as the rake. Others weren't convinced. Some suggested it could be a known image edited into the photo. So what was really wandering around their home? Just wildlife in the darkness? A hoax? Or something far more unsettling? TikTok user Depths of Despair 7 shared a story about a man named Marvin walking home late at night through a quiet neighborhood in Santa Cruz. While walking alone, he suddenly hears the sound of horse hooves clopping on the road nearby.
Bueno, quería compartir con ustedes cómo se ve Santa Cruz Porrillo a las 12 de la noche. Comentarles que ahorita vengo yo de una cobertura de un trabajo y quería mostrarles acá un video de cómo se ve Santa Cruz en la noche. Escucho algo ahí feo. Un caballo escucho por aquí. Un caballo. Escuchan. Aquí lo escucho ahora.
The strange part is, there's no horse, no rider, and no carriage anywhere in sight. He stops to look around, but the sound continues. Then the neighborhood dogs start reacting.
Aquí asustan en Santa Cruz. Asustan en Santa Cruz, Vela, ya me voy mejor para la otra. Pues señores, que asustan en Santa Cruz, asustan en Santa Cruz. No salgan. Bueno, cuida. Oigan, que asustan. Oigan los chuchos.
Marvin doesn't wait to investigate and leaves the area immediately. Was it just an odd echo in the night, or something actually moving through the streets that couldn't be seen? A 58-year-old woman named Polly Melton was hiking along a well-traveled trail in the Great Smoky Mountains with 2 friends when something unusual happened. It was the afternoon of September 25th, 1981. As they made their way back along the Deep Creek Trail, a wide, easy path Polly knew well, she suddenly began walking faster, moving ahead of the others. Within moments, she disappeared over a small hill in the trail. Her friends weren't concerned at first. They expected to catch up to her just seconds later. But when they reached the same spot, she was gone. No sign of her anywhere. At first, they assumed she had continued to head toward the campground. But when they arrived, she wasn't there either. That's when panic set in. Search teams arrived quickly, with over 100 volunteers and tracking dogs combing the area. One of the dogs picked up her scent at the exact spot she was last seen. But then, it just stopped, as if she had vanished into thin air. There were no clear footprints, no signs she had left the trail, and no witnesses who saw her after that moment. Some believe she may have left the trail on her own, possibly heading toward a nearby parking area. Others have suggested more unusual possibilities, from disorientation to something happening in those few seconds out of sight. More than 4 decades later, she has never been found. So how does someone disappear from a busy trail in broad daylight without anyone seeing a thing? If you have any information about the disappearance of Polly Melton, please contact the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation or the North Carolina Bureau of Investigation. An outdoor explorer was walking deep in the woods looking for wildlife when he found something else instead. Confused and in disbelief, the explorer filmed it. What he found looked like the body of something humanoid, like an alien or fairy, not like any known animal. Shortly after the video went viral, the original uploader reportedly stopped posting without explanation, adding more mystery to the situation. Did something happen to him because he knew too much? On February 23, 2026, YouTubers 2 Seats Forward, along with their spouse, were travelling in their van when they arrived at a quiet forest in Cannock Chase, UK, hoping to spend a peaceful night off-grid with their dog. As they pulled into a spot and began settling in, something unexpected happened.
As you can see, there's some cars over there.
Babe, is that a car coming? I can see lights.
Sab's panicking because there's lights on the car.
Oh, was he flashing you? Rusty, get in the van.
We're getting in the van.
Were they flashing? Well, we're back in, but we don't know if we're staying here. Because somebody was flashing the lights at us. They were, weren't they?
A car in the distance suddenly flashed its headlights directly toward them. The moment caught them off guard. Unsure if they had been seen, they quickly got back into the van, watching carefully as the lights disappeared into the darkness.
Paul is moving us on. I don't think he liked them flashing at him. And I had this big head torch on from Timu. And it's actually like a beam of light. Hang on. Hang on, let me sit down then, as I'll be arrested. Stop! We are on the move.
We're on the move.
You didn't like being flashed at, did you?
Feeling uneasy, they decide to change spots, not knowing the intentions of the other person. By morning, everything seemed normal again. A man was hiking alone in the Appalachian Mountains at night when he heard rustling and realized he wasn't alone. 2 bright lights appeared in the darkness, low and steady, as if something was watching him from a distance. He stopped moving and tried to focus his flashlight toward the area, but the lights remained fixed, unmoving, unreactive. After a few tense moments, they disappeared back into the darkness. And somehow, that made it worse. He quietly ended his hike and got out of there as fast as he could, not knowing if whatever was out there might be following him. It could have just been a deer. But what if it was a bear, or a mountain lion, or something worse? When a person reviewed their trail camera placed deep in a forest, they were shocked by what they saw. A large, dark, upright figure appeared between the tree trunks. Some believe the footage matches classic descriptions associated with Bigfoot sightings reported for decades. Others argue it could simply be a misidentified known animal, caught at an unusual angle or partially obscured by darkness and vegetation. Or maybe just a person, even though that seemed very unlikely to the trail cam owner. The figure remains unidentified. A clip surfaced online from someone claiming they had found and entered Area 51. The footage showed 3 glowing orbs hovering in the sky. Then, strangely, the orbs began to merge into one, and just as quickly split apart again. They repeated this motion over and over, almost as if testing some kind of technology. But honestly, the surroundings don't look very desert-like, which makes the Area 51 claim questionable. So what's real here? And what's fake? This person was hiking just outside Chicago when they noticed something moving through the forest and managed to capture it on video. It looked like a massive reptilian creature, walking on either 2 or 4 legs. A long, thick tail trailed just inches above the ground. The proportions felt unnatural, and its movements didn't match anything human. Some argue it could be an unknown animal. Others point to local folklore, giant reptilian sightings, and even reports like the Chicago Mothman suggest strange creatures have been seen in the area for decades. But could something like this really exist? At least I have never seen a costume like that before. A man from Boston was out on a walk when he recorded something unusual.
Yo, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
A group of turkeys walking in a perfect circle. At the center of it, a deceased cat. They kept moving in the same loop, over and over again. None of them broke formation, and none of them seemed interested in leaving. At first it seemed almost ritualistic, but there may be a more natural explanation. Turkeys are known to inspect their surroundings carefully, and sometimes circle objects out of curiosity or caution. Still, the way they moved together in such a perfect pattern made the moment feel far more unsettling than it should. For more scary trail encounters, watch this next video.